Schrock Innovations presents the Midwest #1 independent computer repair company with service centers in Lincoln, Omaha, Papillion, and across the country via the Schrock desk. This is Compute This.
Good morning, folks, and welcome into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock, and I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company, with 3 locations to help you out when your computer is broken, when your technology is not doing what you want it to do, or maybe you're in the market for a new computer. It's been weird. We've been doing this for 21 years, and I still have customers that contact me and say, "Oh, I didn't know you guys sold new computers. I thought you just fixed computers." And wow, I guess, maybe I need to talk about our modular computers more, or the solid state laptops a little bit more. I talk about computer repair every week. I should talk about computers too. We also build websites. We also do online marketing. We also do corporate services. We do on-sites in your house if you want us to. We also, literally we have the Schrock desk that we can fix things remotely if you don't want someone coming into your house right now. There is just a wide variety of things that Schrock Innovations is capable of doing to make sure that your technology is working for you, especially right now. It's kind of weird. I don't know, guys. I've got a deja vu moment feeling coming over me here that, you're talking about in Houston now where they might have to lock down again because it's getting out of control. They were opening a little bit faster than Nebraska was, and Iowa as well. I think they were about to start 75% capacity. And now they're saying they may have to open up the stadium health center for COVID-infected people. So it's like, oh gosh, don't. Here we go again. Is this the second wave that everyone has talked about, or is it just gonna, not happen? Or now the new data is coming out from the WHO and everything else that, this is no more deadly than the flu, which, and then you have people who vehemently disagree with you about that, and then they have people who, on the other side, refuse to wear a mask under any circumstances because, there's no science behind it, there's no nothing. And then there's people like me. I have a mask in my pocket. I take it everywhere I go. If people around me are like nervous, I'll put the mask on. It's not a big deal. And I guess maybe that's my go along to get along in me. I don't know. I don't have a lot of it, but when it comes down to there's no need for me to cause a confrontation at Menards because Menards is one of the few places in town that requires you to wear a mask. You cannot go into a Menards without a mask on. They will not allow you in the building. I know people who won't buy anything at Menards because of that. And I know people who will only shop at Menards because of that. And I also know people who are still self-quarantining in their house and have not left or refuse to let their kids go outside and play. So it's just a weird world we're living in. And before the program, Emily and I were talking about how critical internet is now to keeping everything up and running. I've been down at our house. We were down for 5 days or 4 days total this month. And you don't realize now how interconnected everything is. Now, some of you are probably not quite as interconnected as we are, but literally the lights in my kids' rooms don't turn on without internet now because all the Alexa-enabled devices, why put a switch on them? They're all commanded with your voice, right? Why would you even touch it? You don't need a switch, which sounds like, a pandemic panacea, right? You don't even have to touch it. You just talk to it and it does what it's supposed to do. But if you have no internet, then you just have to unplug it because you can't turn the light off. You have to literally pull the plug out of the wall. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. So definitely there's a lot of weirdness in the world right now. There's a shortage of patience all the way around. And there's an abundance of people who are just in a foul mood for a lot of different reasons. So we take pride over at Schrock of being a place that you can go where there's a little slice of normal there. You can come into our service centers. You don't have to wear a mask. Of course, we encourage you to wear a mask if you, especially if you are somebody who is medically compromised. If you have a pre-existing condition, absolutely. All my staff have masks issued. We do maintain social distances. I've been tempted to peel the X's up off the floor. I've been tempted. Outside of Hy-Vee, the X's were gone off the concrete. Now, I wanted to hope that was a hopeful sign that we are progressing to the point where we don't have to put markers on the ground to tell people where to stand like they're little school children. But it's equally likely that they were just power washing the concrete. So I don't know which it is. One of the things that we were talking about here before the program, too, is maintenance. A lot of people put off air conditioner HVAC maintenance this spring because you didn't want the air conditioning repair guy in your house because we were all quarantining. And now, literally, I've had on the schedule with Solutions Heating and Air, great company. I've been on the schedule with them for 3 weeks, and they keep asking. They call me every week and they say, Thor, I hate to ask you this, but I know we're just coming out to do a maintenance on your equipment, but we have a lot of people who are actually not cooling right now. Like their air conditioners are broken. Is it okay if we bump you another week so that we can go fix these people's air conditioners? And I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, well, as long as you're going to take care of me if my stuff breaks, because I've been trying to do my responsible thing and get my maintenance done, and I can't. And so I think that's the boat a lot of people are in right now. The normal routines of life have been disrupted. And as a result, now weird things are starting to happen in life. So your air conditioner breaks, and normally it doesn't break, but normally you have it serviced, but you didn't have it serviced. And the same thing applies to your computer too. One of the things that we have seen, I looked at some numbers for the first 6 months of the year, and the number of preventative maintenance checkups that we have done is actually down year over year. We've done fewer of them on special as well. So that it's interesting. When we had our special, people just, some people bought certificates. We included those in the count, but it wasn't as many people as before. And so I think part of that is, not wanting to take your computer out. Or yes, we had contactless pickup and contactless drop off and everything else, all this other stuff. I saw one computer repair shop. So one of the things you have to do when you're opening a new service center is you have to Facebook stalk your competition. So we were looking at the competitors in Des Moines, where we're going to be opening a service center this fall. Those of you listening on WHO, we're coming. And one of the computer repair shops in Des Moines went to a completely contactless drop-off experience, meaning you still had to get out of your car. You still had to come into their building. You put the computer on the counter, and then there was a computer there that you typed in what was wrong with your computer and checked it in. And I shared the picture of that setup with my staff, and I'm like, can you imagine the service nightmare that this is? Could you possibly imagine? So first of all, what's wrong with your computer? You tell me, and then we'll fix it. Does anybody else see anything wrong with that picture? You tell me, and then we'll fix it. Most people bring it in, and they're like, my monitor has a virus. And you're like, you just say, okay, sure, I get it. I know what you're trying to say. I understand. But taking that and putting it on a work order, well, you didn't tell me that your computer had a virus. We checked your monitor thoroughly, and we didn't find any kind of virus activity. We even sanitized it. There's not even any COVID on that monitor. It's clean as a whistle. But your computer, we didn't look at that. It wasn't on the work order. Oh my gosh, the service nightmare of that. So when you come to Schrock Innovations, we pride ourselves on trying to be a little bit of normal. The weird thing is year over year, we're doing okay. And a lot of that's because everybody working from home suddenly realized that they can't work from home from an iPad. And the home computer started to matter again. The home laptop started to matter again. You had kids that are doing school. Let me tell you guys, they're talking about the kids not going back to school for a regular school year. They're saying that they're going to start earlier and they're going to start online. That's the rumor going around right now, at least in the Papillion School District. If that happens, the kids are going to need devices. Each kid is going to need a device. And, Target, we noticed the other day that Target was kind of clearing out, getting their back to school aisle ready. And I joke with my wife, is it going to be back to homeschool or is it going to be back to school? And she was like, well, what difference would that make? I'm like, yeah, the materials would probably be the same because, parents don't realize. My wife was joking because we homeschool and we homeschooled before this. And she said, I bought, when I first started homeschooling Jacob, the first thing I did is I went out and bought a bunch of school supplies and I bought a big box of pencils. And he's 13 now, and we just used the last pencil. Yeah. So it's like, he's been homeschooled for a decade, and we just used the last pencil out of that box because when you homeschool, it's a different experience than when you go to regular school. And so it's just like the world is just weird and different. So I'm trying my best to give everybody an experience that they can count on, that they can rely on. So that's why we're here, in the mornings, in the afternoons to help you out on the radio. That's why we broadcast live on Facebook at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. You can watch the live stream every Sunday morning at 7, or it stays up on Facebook if you don't want to get up at 7 for whatever reason. Or maybe you're doing other virtual services at 7, like church. We had a church contact us the other day. They're trying to figure out a webcam setup, and they're trying to do it as inexpensively as possible because you don't want to put a bunch of money into an online setup when you're going to be back to normal, right? And that's the big fear. Is it going to go back to normal, or do we need to spend a bunch more money getting digital stuff set up for homeschooling or remote schooling or, working from home or things like that? Meanwhile, the economy continues to add jobs and starts to recover. We're a lot better off in Nebraska and Iowa than a lot of other states are. So it's really a blessing in a lot of ways. Can you imagine that last week, people in New York were finally allowed to leave their homes? Last week. They were locked in their homes until last week. So, yeah, we're really blessed here in Nebraska and Iowa. All right, so one of the things that we're going to do on the program today, guys, is we're going to take calls. And the calls today, the number to join us on the show is 888-250-2091. Every week, I want to encourage people to call because the callers make the program. I can talk for an hour, but it's the callers asking the questions that bring the audience into the show and say, hey, I have that problem too. And what a lot of people realize is that a lot of people have the same computer problems. And so if you call in 888-250-2091 and ask a question or make a comment, we'll put you in the drawing for a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. And don't be embarrassed, because if you have a question, a lot of other people in our virtual classroom here also have the same question. They're just too chicken to call the numbers and get in the drawing. So go ahead and try that out for you. It's going to be a lot of fun. So last week on the program, guys, we told you about the latest in the revived browser wars. They're back. Google and Microsoft Edge fighting. Microsoft Edge is now basically Google Chrome without the Google. It's just Chromium. And Google Chrome doesn't like that. And so they're fighting about that back and forth. Facebook, in the middle of a virtue signaling extravaganza going on. If you don't know what virtue signaling is, Google that. But basically, everyone's labeling everybody's tweets and posts as this is fake news, or this is potentially fake news, or this is questionable, or this guy's a weirdo. They label everything now. Well, Facebook decided that they were going to start labeling these dictators in these countries like China and Russia and Venezuela that have state-controlled news systems that kind of masquerade as free press. And so when you read something on Sputnik News, nothing gets published on Sputnik News or the South China Morning Post without the tacit approval of those governments. And if people do post things on there that are not approved, they don't stay around very long to post other things. So, it's one of those things that Facebook is finally labeling them now and saying these are state-controlled media outlets, so take what they say with a grain of salt. Wow! I think that's a label we could all agree on. And that's really rare right now, something that everybody can agree on. Of course, there'll be somebody out there who's like, no, China's the bastion of freedom and the economic engine of the future. There's going to be that guy out there, and there's always been those people out there. They live in their mom's basement or whatever, which isn't frowned upon anymore, honestly. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Also, AMD is working to onshore. Instead of offshore, it's onshore. Bring back the manufacturing of processors. We brought you that story last week. Same processors that we use in all of our modular computers and almost all of our solid-state laptops. Also, last week, SpaceX launched a whole bunch more satellites into orbit to bring you internet from space. Which is a lot better than my internet has been this month. Beam me internet from the cosmos. It would be better than internet from my Cox Communications account. All right, 888-250-2091. Coming up on the show today, guys, the case of the vanishing printer. Yes, it's a Scooby-Doo episode that you'll never forget. You just did your Patch Tuesday updates last Tuesday. They went off like a champ for once. Nothing blew up. Nothing went wrong. Everything rebooted and everybody was awesome. Except bum, bum, bum. Your printer's gone. What happened to it? We're going to tell you about Microsoft's latest boo-boo there. Zoom has now decided that they're only going to be somewhat communist. Yeah, so China can only partially censor who can have a Zoom meeting now. So that's pretty awesome, right? We can all Zoom with a little more freedom just to make sure that, you don't say anything too, anti-China on a Zoom meeting or you might get banned. Also, new Intel processors means slower computers yet again. The new Intel processor issue, I should say, not new Intel processors means slower computers. Usually when you get a new processor, it means a faster computer. But when you have an issue, another new issue, with an Intel processor, it means they're going to get patched. And when they get patched, they get slower again. Also, do you have some sketchy third-party weird selfie app on your phone? Because I know all of you are super obsessed with your selfies, right? If you have one of these apps, though, you take a picture and it adds these filters over you. It makes your skin look great, or it changes the backlighting, or throws a background behind you, or whatever. Now you can get rid of all those shady ones that make you watch commercials and stuff and have ads, because Adobe Photoshop is making a free Photoshop camera app. It can actually replace the camera app on your phone if you want it to, and allows you to do a whole bunch of things that would normally be really advanced photographic maneuvers with the push of a button. So it's pretty awesome stuff. We're going to tell you about that coming up on the program as well. All right, so a little bit of business, because we got to make sure that everything is going well for your computer. If you have not heard by now, Microsoft did release the new Windows 10 version 2004 version. It is out. You should run your safe upgrade now if you have not done so already. Some of you haven't. We've reached out to you individually trying to get a hold of you to let you know it's time to go. Many of you know it's time to go, but you're on vacation, things like that. Totally get it. Just do it as soon as you get back. Also, one of the things, if you have a Schrock Innovations Intrepid laptop, this is our A12 laptop. It's our most popular one. It's the middle of the line solid state laptop. There, in some cases, we need to do a manual graphics driver installation. After the version 2004, you can get some funky colors on the screen sometimes. It flickers into weird colors and comes back, especially going in and out of sleep mode. There is a fix for that. We did confirm that the fix works yesterday in the Lincoln Service Center, and it's something that we can do over the Schrock desk for you. So if you're having that problem, please give us a call in the service centers, and we'll be happy to get that taken care of for you as well. 888-250-2091. We got to take our first break of the program, guys, but when we come back, the case of the vanishing printer. What happened? Where did your HP brother printer go? After you did your Windows update, it's gone. We're going to tell you how to get it back coming up next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations Data Recovery Lab saves the data the other guys can't. The next time your hard drive, camera card, or flash drive fails, let Schrock get your data back. Every person listening to this broadcast has either experienced data loss or knows someone who has. When you think about it, you have a lot more data stored in many more places than you'd like to admit. Have you downloaded those videos from your phone, backed up the pictures on your iPad, or even tackled that sometimes daunting task of backing up your entire computer's hard drive? Most people just don't back up their stuff, and that's why Schrock Innovations has one of the most advanced data recovery centers in the Midwest. Equipped with the latest DDI data imaging devices, state-of-the-art custom recovery software, and Omaha's best data recovery technicians, Schrock Innovations has a 96.8% success rate when recovering data from damaged hard drives, flash drives, camera cards, and more. We all know we should back up our data, but if you are ever caught in a data loss nightmare, call the experts at Schrock Innovations to get your data back right where it belongs, safe and backed up on a stable hard drive. Compute This Pro Tip 843. Of all computer failures, the scariest and most expensive is the hard drive. But there are some steps you can take to save money and save your data before it's too late. Detecting failures early is important, so install a free utility like Drive Advisor from driveadvisor.com to monitor your hard drive's health and receive warnings when there's a problem. But most of all, hard drive failures happen slowly, so early detection is key to reducing the repair bill. Second, if your hard drive makes any unusual noises, immediately turn off your computer and do not turn it on again. These issues are physical problems, and the more you try to use it, the worse the damage becomes. Remember that most computer repair shops do not have the specialized equipment needed to recover data from a failed drive. Never open your drive or allow anyone else to do so. Opened drives always cost more to recover. Schrock does not charge for data recovery evaluations and quotes, so let the local pros look at your drive before you make any recovery decisions. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. We have 3 locations to help you out when your computer is acting up. All 3 are located in Nebraska presently. In the Lincoln area, Lincoln, Nebraska, we have the Lincoln Service Center, which totally makes sense. It is located in South Lincoln, 2 blocks south of Pine Lake on 14th Street. In Omaha, 168th and Burke, just across the street from the Best Buy there at Village Point Mall. And in Papillion, 84th and Highway 370. That's in the Midlands Place Business Park there, just behind Kohl's Pharmacy. So it works out pretty well there for a lot of people as well. Coming soon to University Avenue in Des Moines as well. We're going to be opening that service center this fall. In fact, I believe IKEA is reopened, which is important because we get a lot of our fixtures from IKEA. And so we're going to be doing an IKEA run later today. So the after Schrock, after the program today, will be brief because I have to get on the road to go get furniture. It's fun. It's real. But we're going to get some. All right, 888-250-2091. Those are the numbers to join us on the program today. One of the big things that people noticed, the second Tuesday of every month is Patch Tuesday. That is the day of the month that Microsoft releases all the security updates that your computer needs to remain current. It patches security vulnerabilities. These are updates you don't want to miss. So a lot of you have computers that have downloaded and installed these updates right now, but your computer has not yet restarted. A lot of you also have printers at home, especially now that we've all been working from home. Printers are almost impossible to find anywhere to purchase, especially at a reasonable price. In fact, the prices that we charge for our printers, we're a business. We make a little bit of money. We mark things up a little bit, but the price that we're currently selling printers for, I can't replenish them at that price. I can't buy new printers at the price we're selling them for. And I'm believing that this is a temporary situation, that as the supply chains refill, the prices of things will come back down. So we're trying to maintain, again, a little slice of normal. This is what stuff costs. This is what monitors cost. This is what printers cost. This is what they've always cost. We're just selling through the ones that we have, basically, and hoping that we can replenish when the time comes at a reasonable price without having to mark things up a lot. So as we go through this weird new thing we call life, your printer goes into sleep mode. So when you're not printing, your printer doesn't stay powered on all the time anymore like it used to. It goes to sleep. Sometimes it even powers off. And if after this Patch Tuesday you have to restart your computer to install the patches, sometimes what happens is the computer gets turned off and then the printer goes to sleep and then the computer comes back on. Right now, people are reporting when that happens that their printer is disappearing. They can't print anymore. So actually what's happening is the virtual printer port. So a lot of the printers now are wireless, right? They're hooked up on the wireless network. Those are working fine. It's the USB connected ones that are failing. The ones that ironically are supposed to be more reliable because they're hooked up with a wire. So the report after the June 9th Patch Tuesday states that Toshiba and HP printers are going offline. There's also reports of other printers like Brother printers that are going offline as well. Pretty much anything connected with a USB cable is having issues. Microsoft is aware of the problem. The situation can be easily resolved by reinstalling the printer. So it's an easy fix. It's a pain in the rear, but it's an easy fix. Then the next thing is you got to make sure that whenever you reboot your computer that your printer is powered on. That's the temporary fix right now. So if you are going to be rebooting your computer or shutting your computer down for any reason, you might want to just make sure that your printer is powered on and lit up and ready for action, even though you don't intend to print anything, and that will help solve the case of the Vanishing printer for you. 888-250-2091. Also, something else in the news here, Intel processors have had a host of issues. And AMD has had a few as well. And there's 2 manufacturers that make the brains for your computers. There's Intel, the Blue Man Group guys, Intel Inside, doom, 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 the whole thing. They've got their whole marketing machine going. And then you've got AMD. And AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, is kind of an upstart. They don't have the marketing glitz and blitz that Intel does, but they don't charge as much either. Their processors usually run about 30% less than Intel processors. In the past, they've also used a little bit more energy than Intel processors, which hasn't made them really suitable for laptops for a long time. But then they came out with their new Ryzen processors a few years ago. And these processors changed everything. At a time when Intel was getting hit with all kinds of hardware vulnerabilities in their processors and the architecture, the way their processors were built, were flawed for years. And then they came out with patches. Well, you can't fix broken hardware with a patch. All you can do is turn it off. And so they kept turning off little features in their processors that made them faster than the AMD chips. And suddenly, the Intel chips now are just as slow as the AMD chips, if not slower, especially the older ones. And the AMD chips are continually getting faster and faster. Intel puts out a new processor. These are 10th gen Intel processors. AMD literally just turns a little knob on their chips, and they're faster. Literally overnight. Boom, they don't have to change any manufacturing, nothing. It's already baked into the chip. It's an amazing situation that AMD has right now, and they're really killing it. Now Intel, the last thing they needed was yet another vulnerability discovered in their chips that's going to blow up their world, and they do have it. So basically, this new thing is called the Crosstalk Attack, and as you know, your processor, your brain of your computer, is actually comprised of many smaller brains that work together. One brain doing something can leak data to another brain not doing something, which can lead to the exposure of pretty much anything encrypted on your computer. Whether that's browser sessions or passwords or anything else, it can all be intercepted on an Intel processor. Ironically, the picture that ZDNet put up for this story was that of an AMD processor, which is kind of funny. You wouldn't know that unless you've ever installed a processor, but it's kind of funny. So anyway, expect patches in the next month for your Intel computers. In fact, Intel has already pushed the patches out. So motherboard manufacturers, Microsoft will eventually push these patches down to you, which will result in your Intel computer running slower. If you have not yet invested in a solid-state hard drive, this is the thing that can offset this slowness. Your brain's going to be working a little slower, but your hard drive is really the bottleneck that's slowing your computer down. If we replace that hard drive with a solid-state drive, we can speed up your computer for just a couple $100. We can speed it up, faster than it was the day you bought it. And it's a great upgrade to do. And it helps you put off buying a new computer for a little while. So if you do have an Intel processor in your computer and you notice that it's running slower than you would like it to, bring it into the service centers and let us take a look at putting a solid-state hard drive in it for you, and you won't regret that. 888-250-2091. Let's jump into those phones real quick. Blaine, welcome to the program. How can I help you today on Compute This?
Hi, my secure updater is not working.
Okay, what's going on?
It's not red or green, it's black.
Gotcha. And so when it's black, that usually means it's not logged in. Have you tried logging in with your username and password?
You mean since the 2000 update?
Right. So,
no, I did not.
Okay, so if you go down in the lower right-hand corner of your screen by your clock, you can right-click on that black Secure Updater icon and then select, Show Secure Updater, and it'll bring up the login page. Then you type in your username and your password, and it will go ahead and let you log in. One of the things, when your computer receives a BIOS update, which is way inside baseball, but when you don't even know what happens a lot of times, but when your computer gets a BIOS update, that can screw with the fingerprinting that Secure Updater does to determine what computer is licensed to work with Secure Updater. If that happens to you, just give us a call in one of the service centers, and then we can basically reset that fingerprint for your computer so it will allow you to log in. But it sounds like for whatever reason, when all the programs and everything moved, it didn't move the data that said this is how you log into Secure Updater. Once you put in your username and password, you'll never have to do it again. It'll remember it, and then it'll log in and get the update for you. This week there was a big update for Adobe Flash Player, so it's one of the big ones you want to go ahead and get. Thanks for the call, Blaine. We appreciate it. 888-250-2091. It's that easy, guys. Got to take our mid-halftime break on the program. So go get your popcorn, get your potty breaks in, because is it Yuji? Yuji and Kathy, your calls are coming up next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations repair technicians also make house calls. Make an appointment and let us bring our award-winning computer support right to your home or business.
Welcome to Schrock Innovations. How can I help you today?
I'm having a problem with my computer.
You're at the right place. We fix problems with computers.
That's why I'm here.
What seems to be the problem with your computer?
When I press the power button, it doesn't boot up. How fast can you fix it?
We're the fastest computer fixer in Omaha. We'll fix it fast.
How fast?
Real fast. Do you have it plugged in when you turn it on?
Of course it was plugged in. Do people make that mistake a lot?
You'd be surprised. When you press the power button, what happens?
It roars, then stops and sits.
Ooh, like a lion?
Like a what? Well, I suppose.
Sounds like a bad power supply, sir.
Is that bad?
It's not good, but we can fix it fast.
How fast?
How's that for fast?
Does it work?
Yes, sir. More purring, less roaring now.
Wow, that was fast.
Schrock Innovations is the fastest computer repair in Omaha, sir.
That's great, but all this talking is making me hungry. Do you guys sell sandwiches?
We do fast computer repair. If you want a fast sandwich, you have to go someplace else. Why would we sell sandwiches?
I don't know. All this fast talking is strangely familiar.
Schrock Innovations. If you want a fast sandwich, don't go there. But if you want your computer fixed and back on your desk fast, give them a call or visit their website at SchrockInnovations.com. Compute This Pro Tip 578. Technology is constantly changing, so how can you tell when the time has come to recycle your old outdated computer and invest in a new one? Experts have rules of thumb and formulas, but Schrock believes the answer is simple. You should replace your old computer when it can no longer do the things you need in a secure way. For example, you should not be using operating systems like Windows XP or Vista because they're no longer maintained by Microsoft and they're not secure. And if your computer cannot run Windows 10, it's probably time to begin saving for a replacement. If your existing computer requires a repair and that cost is 50% or more of the cost of a new computer, it might be time to consider a replacement. But keep in mind, additional costs like data transfers and important software you have to upgrade like genealogy software or Quicken. And also keep in mind that modern computers are engineered to last 18 months for a normal user. And don't worry, you are considered a normal user. Schrock modular PCs and solid-state laptops are specifically designed to last 4 to 6 years for that same normal user, saving your family money and time. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Fox News, I'm Karen McHugh. The fatal shooting of a black man in Atlanta, Georgia, Saturday, leading to violence and protests.
The officer involved in the killing of Rashard Brooks has been terminated. Brooks' death prompted outrage from the city residents who set fire to the local Wendy's. That was where Brooks had been killed, dangerously close to a nearby gas station. Rashard Brooks had fallen asleep in the drive-thru of the Wendy's and then reportedly grabbed a taser from an officer and turning the weapon on law enforcement.
Fox's Ashley Strohmeyer. That fired officer, identified by Atlanta police as Garrett Rolfe. Police Chief Erica Shields has already resigned. This season could be the shortest for Major League Baseball since the 1870s. The league has proposed an 82-game schedule. The Players Union says because of the coronavirus, about 50 games is more likely. America is listening to Fox News.
Now, the News Radio 1110 KFAB Weather Watch.
After starting off in the upper 60s and lower 70s, we will warm back up into the lower 90s this afternoon under partly cloudy skies. More high clouds around today, but still warm, still breezy with gusts up to 35 miles per hour. We'll just drop down to the low to mid 70s tonight. With Omaha's most accurate forecast, I'm 6 News First Alert meteorologist Mallory Schnell on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back in. I hope everybody is well rested and ready for another half hour of Compute This. My name's Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company, where we fix computers. We build new computers. We build websites for businesses. We get people to go to websites for businesses. Literally right now, there is a tsunami coming next year for business owners and websites. This is just what every business owner wants to hear right now, that if they don't invest in their website over the next 11 months, that Google is going to literally put them out of business. But I'm not exaggerating. That's what's going to happen, guys. There's the entire world of search engine optimization has had a radical foundational shift. And the old rules that applied 6 months ago, let alone most people are still trying to use, hey, I think I have enough keywords on my page. You know, that stuff is important because it's fundamental SEO, but it's not going to get you to the top of the search results. It's kind of like, you want to be a professional baseball player, so you need a glove, so you have a glove that does not make you a professional baseball player. So the challenge that businesses have is trying to find a way to rank higher than their competitors in the search engine, because when you do rank higher in the search engines, you get a lot more business. For example, during the pandemic shutdowns, Google naturally elevated businesses that remained open over businesses that were closed. Why would Google send you to a business that is closed? Google also naturally elevated larger businesses over smaller businesses because you're going to have a more predictable experience. Now, you could argue that this is yet another knife in the back of small business, but you have to realize that. So, for example, let me give some examples here. If you search for computer repair, you're going to find Best Buy over Schrock, because Best Buy is a large company, supposedly with a stable outlook, but when they were closed, you found Schrock over Best Buy. When you search for computer repair, you're going to find other places in town you can go. But because Schrock has more traffic and is a larger company, Google made the logical assumption that because people's experience would be potentially better at Schrock, we should rank Schrock higher, which is one of the reasons that we're not doing terrible. Because we got a lot of the business from places that were shuttered or other smaller competitors that fell off the search engine map. So if you're not really concerned about how many people are coming to your website, whether they buy things from you or not, that's the big metric. How many people go to your church's website even if they don't come to services? Have you ever thought about that? How many people go to your radio station's website even if they don't listen? Those are the things that when it comes down to the time when people are looking for a church or looking for a radio station or looking for a computer repair company and they do that search because it's an on-demand thing. This especially applies to people who supply on-demand services like heating and air conditioning companies. You don't really call them until you need them, right? Plumbers, electricians, same thing. Veterinarians, lawyers, divorce lawyers. You don't call these people until you need them, right? Who has a divorce lawyer? Well, maybe some people might, but who has like their pocket divorce lawyer? This is my go-to guy. I use that for every divorce, If you have that guy, you have a problem. Most people don't do that. They Google and you come up in the search engine. So if you're a business and you want someone to shepherd you through this fundamental, foundational change in search results, we're here to help you out with that as well. 888-250-2091 is the number to join us on the program. And that's what Yuji has done. Yuji, welcome to the program. How can I help you today on Compute This?
Yes, I just installed Microsoft Word.
Okay.
In my computer. It's doing read only. The functions doesn't work.
Yes.
And I can write.
Gotcha. Now, is there sometimes when you get into read-only mode, there's a button at the top of the screen that you can click to enable editing. It's called Enable Editing. So if somebody's... Enable Editing, and it'll be a button in a bar right across the top of the screen. When people send you a document over the internet, there could be macros in the document, and a macro is an automated thing that happens on your computer. And the bad guys like to use macros to send viruses. And so rather than just having every macro just run willy-nilly when you open up a document, Microsoft has now said if you get a document, especially through email or over the internet, we're going to put it into like a protected mode where it can't do anything. You can open it, you can read it, but you can't edit it, and it can't do anything to your computer. And if it's a document that you trust, you can click Enable Editing, and then all of a sudden all the functionality is restored to you. There is one other circumstance that you will have this situation happen, and that circumstance is if you're running a copy of Microsoft Office that has either expired, like you had Office 365 and your subscription expired, or there's an activation problem with your Office software. Microsoft will allow documents to open in many cases, but they will not allow you to make any changes to them until you renew your license. Thanks for the call. I really appreciate it, Yuji. And we've got you in the drawing as well for a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. 888-250-2091. Those are the numbers to join us on the program today. Ask a question, make a comment, and then we will put you in that drawing as well. All right, so one of the other things that we do at Schrock for you, and it was kind of funny, I got to help a brand new Schrock customer in the Papillion Service Center last week. Somebody who has never been into a service center before for any reason, had no idea who we were, found us through a Google search because his hard drive stopped working and he needed data recovery services. And in that moment, it struck me that over the last 21 years, our services have achieved such a depth that I talked to this gentleman for about 20 minutes to let him know everything that we could do for him. And it wasn't like I was, lecturing the guy and he was like, gosh, please just let me leave. Maybe he was. He didn't seem that way. But no, so for example, okay, he came in because he had a hard drive that failed and he needed to get the information off the hard drive. And yes, we can do that. But that's great. But, wouldn't it have been great to know that his hard drive was failing before it started failing? So I started off by telling him about a program that we make at Schrock Interactive that's called Drive Advisor. And you can download it free as well at driveadvisor.com, and it's advisor, ER.com. We say it's Drive Advisor because it's American, but if I'm telling you the truth, it's driveadvisor.com because driveadvisor.com was taken by somebody else. So we had to take the American version. You can spell it either way. It depends if you're spelling it American or spelling it English. Americans spell it ER, English spell it OR, tomato, tomato. But DriveAdvisor.com, you install this Drive Advisor program on your computer, and it will tell you if your hard drive is exhibiting the symptoms of a slow burn failure, which is how most hard drives die. They don't suddenly die. It seems like they do, because one day they just stop working. But they've been dying for a long time. You just never knew it. Now, some hard drive failures are sudden and cannot be predicted. So this is not a 100% predictor of death of a hard drive. If you drop your computer in the bathtub, for example, Drive Advisor has no idea you did that. They couldn't have predicted that. But if the hard drive is failing slowly, it can predict that. And this is a completely free program. He couldn't believe it. He was like, is there ads? Or, how do you make money off of it? I was like, well, here's the thing. With Drive Advisor, if you have a hard drive that fails, you obviously heard about Drive Advisor from Schrock. And we hope that if we are the people who let you know that your hard drive is failing, that you will choose to bring that hard drive or that computer into Schrock for us to repair it for you. So in a way, it's a lead generator for us. It helps us identify customers who are having trouble and then help those customers before their situation becomes absolutely dire and absolutely expensive. So it's a good thing. So we went through and we talked about Secure Updater. We went down this list of things, and then we applied the new customer coupon for him, and we were able to recover his data. It was the entry-level recovery fee, so it was $400 data recovery. It wasn't $1,200 or anything like that. He was getting these crazy quotes from these the send-it-off places. $1,300 is what Drive Savers came back with, and we did it for $400 because we have all the equipment in our lab in Omaha, and we're charging Omaha prices, not California prices. So it makes a big difference. So if there's something like that going on in your life with your technology, Schrock Innovations has the capability, the staff, and the equipment to really do some amazing work for you and your computer. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're a new customer, if you've never been into the service center before, you can get your first hour of labor for free. You just mentioned you're a new customer and you want the free hour of labor. You don't have to print off a coupon or bring in a membership card or anything. You just literally come in and say, hey, I'm a new customer. I'd like to get my first hour of labor free. Of course, we'll confirm that you're a new customer. And new customer is defined by address, not by name, by the way. So you're a new customer. Your wife's a new customer. Your 3-year-old daughter's a new customer. We've seen it all. 888-250-2091. We're going to take a quick break here. Kathy, hang on the line. Your call is coming up next. Also, ditch those sketchy Adobe Photoshop camera replacement apps. So you never had Photoshop because it's expensive. Now Adobe Photoshop is making a brand new camera app for your phone, also for your tablet, for Android or Apple, and it's completely free. We're going to tell you all about that coming up next on Compute This.
Update all of your third-party apps on your computer with Secure Updater. It keeps all your apps running smoothly and helps block viruses. Download it for free today at secureupdater.com. External hard drives are handy. You can back up multiple computers to them or even use them to move lots of data from one computer to another. Computer users have been buying the same old external hard drives for years. While our computers have been getting faster, we still do backups that take hours or watch epic progress bars creep by to move files. Schrock wanted more for our customers, so our innovators created the fastest external hard drives on the planet. Schrock modular storage devices are up to 50% faster than Seagate or Western Digital externals and are modular in the truest sense of the word. We can create whatever size and speed of drive you need for all of your needs, and all modular storage devices come with a data restoration guarantee. If you use our drives for backing up and your computer's hard drive fails, we'll restore your backup to your repaired computer for free. Fast, simple, and flexible technology solutions from Schrock Innovations. It's what we do. Compute This Pro Tip 178. Those little life-saving surge protector strips are vital to your computer's health and should be used whenever possible, even for laptops. As computers get smaller and more powerful, they're also becoming more sensitive to dirty power, and your power is a lot dirtier than you might think. Even if you have a whole home surge protection, most power surges are generated within your own home. If you've ever vacuumed and seen the lights get dimmer and brighter, you created a surge. Surge protectors can only absorb so much energy measured in joules. When that capacity is exhausted, your surge protector becomes a glorified extension cord and needs to be replaced. You should always look for surge protectors that give audible alerts when they're no longer able to protect your equipment. Schrock recommends these because the lights on most strips are just power lights and they don't tell you when it's time to replace the unit. If in doubt, replace your surge protectors annually to keep your expensive TVs, computers, and other electronic equipment safe. This pro tip is brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock, and I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. 888-250-2091. Coming this fall to Des Moines, Iowa, folks. That's right, we're going to be opening our new service center on University Avenue in Des Moines. We were targeting August. We might be a little bit off that date by a month or so, just depending on how pandemic stuff goes. You know, we're trying to open a new business location in the middle of a pandemic. So your grace is appreciated, but coming to you very, very soon in Des Moines. Listeners from WHO, thank you very much for your loyal listening over the past 2 years we've been on WHO now. Kind of sowing the ground for the service center, if you will. In fact, looks like we're getting some quotes for a possible radio show in the Kansas City metro area now as well. So we might be expanding Compute This into Kansas City. More about that coming up in the After Schrock, a little live show that we do after Schrock Innovations main show, coming up here on Facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. 888-250-2091. Kathy, thank you for your patience. How can I help you today on Compute This?
Well, I got the 2004 version of Windows 10.
Okay.
No problems. And about 2 weeks ago, on my internet connections only, and I have Firefox and Chrome,
okay,
and it could be on either one, I am getting like slash marks and small black boxes, and they appear at random, and they continue, even if you go. That would be if, for instance, I'm looking at email, I could go to a game, an internet game, and my great-grandson was on one the other day, and he was getting arrowheads all over the screen, and they were just popping up at random, and they kept going and going and going.
Yep.
The internet provider claims it's my computer.
And he is correct.
And I don't see how that can be unless it's the wiring that connects the internet modem or the Wi-Fi modem to the computer. That's not possibly a Windows 10 thing or my computer, is it?
It very well could be. In fact, what you're describing is called artifacting. It's where weird characters or lines or colors are popping up on the screen when they're not supposed to. Artifacting, typically, if you didn't tell me that you had just upgraded to a new version of Windows 10, I would tell you that it's very likely that your computer's graphics card is failing and that you need a new graphics card, because that's one of the symptoms of a graphics card that is not working properly. Now, is this a laptop or a desktop?
Desktop.
Okay. The other situation, however, is Windows 10 version 2004 is not playing nicely with a lot of graphic cards. And so as a result, graphics card manufacturers have put out patches or updates. I mentioned earlier in the program that our own Intrepid laptop, our most popular laptop that we sell, has some artifacting happening, and it happens in the form of colors on the screen. And of course, they literally just released a new driver yesterday to fix this. Before this, we were just swapping people's computers. I guess it's bad. Sorry, it's a bad graphics card. Here's a new computer. And then Eli in the Lincoln Service Center isolated it down to the graphics driver, got a new graphics driver from Asus for that laptop, and it resolved the issue. So your desktop computer also has a graphics card and also has a graphics driver. So before we just call it bad hardware and move on, we should probably have you bring that into the service center so that we can take a look at the software that runs the graphics card to make sure that that software is actually doing what it's supposed to be doing, or if there is maybe an update for it. How old is the desktop computer, roughly?
Probably 4 or 5 years. You've had it in there a couple of times.
Is it one that we built for you, or is it
the only really major thing that you've done is that you had replaced the hard drive?
Is it a one that we built, or is it like a major brand?
It's an Asus, but it isn't one that you built.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm saving my pennies to buy one that you built.
I understand. And Asus makes good stuff. So the thing is, though, that the graphics card in the Asus probably needs a driver update. That's probably what's going on. The driver update is not going to be automatic from Microsoft because this is considered a beta driver, which means it is intended to solve a specific problem, and they're releasing the driver so that people can test it and see if it solves the problem, and it does. But Microsoft won't install a beta driver automatically through Windows Update for you. So unless you actually have somebody install the driver, it's not going to get resolved. But it has nothing to do with your internet provider. Your internet provider is correct when it says it's an issue with the computer itself. If it was a problem with your internet provider, you would see it across multiple devices. You would see it on every computer or every phone in the house, and that's not the case with this. This is artifacting, and it's something specific to the Asus computer. Thanks for the call, Kathy. We are going to get you in the drawing there for that $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate, which you definitely could apply toward us taking a look at that computer for you. So that's good to have there too. 888-250-2091. Earlier in the show, I mentioned Zoom being less communist, and it occurs to me that the two stories both happened within the same week. So while I am fully aware of Zoom's sudden finding of religion, you might not be. So basically, what happened here in a nutshell is the anniversary of Tiananmen Square was happening. And there is a get-together that happens every year where people come together to remember those who were killed in the Tiananmen Square uprising. For those of you who may be new to the program or maybe don't know what this is, the Tiananmen Square uprising, a bunch of students in China wanted freedom. They wanted the same types of freedoms that people in America have. So they had a protest. They all got together in Tiananmen Square. There were a lot of students, and they basically started protesting. There were some attacks on police. It was cultural unrest, basically, something that we've seen on the news here in America lately. Now, as much as however you feel about police and funding and defunding and use of force and everything like that, you don't see the police department doing what happened in Tiananmen Square. And this is the difference between an authoritarian country and a democracy or a republic. China brought tanks into Tiananmen Square and ran over the students, literally crushed them to death. You will leave now and disperse or you will die. And there were no other warnings given. It was a tremendous loss of life. It was awful. So every year there's an annual memorial where basically people get together and remember those students who spoke up for freedom in an authoritarian regime and asked for change and gave their life trying to get it. Well, obviously China bans, with the Great Firewall, any mention of Tiananmen Square. And you can do this if you go to google.cn, which is the Chinese version of Google, and you Google Tiananmen Square, and you go to google.com and you Google Tiananmen Square, you get two completely different search results because Google is filtering the results that appear to Chinese people so that Google will be allowed in China. Because you can't talk about what happened at Tiananmen Square. It's forgotten history in China. Or at least that's what the government wants it to be. Well, the remembrance has got together. These people couldn't get together for the event because of the COVID thing. So they were going to do it on Zoom like everything else that's happening now. So they get together on Zoom and they go to have their thing and they all of a sudden find that their accounts are banned, that they're locked out of their Zoom accounts for inappropriate activity on Zoom. Turns out nobody knew this, but all of Zoom's servers are located in mainland China. So when Zoom is telling you that they're encrypting all your sessions and it's all secure and everything else, no, you can't encrypt anything on servers in mainland China unless you give China the encryption key, which means China has access to every single Zoom meeting that's happening anywhere. So the next time, Zoom is fine. If you're going to do Zoom, China doesn't really care about, grandma and grandpa seeing the kids' birthday presents opened. If you're having a counseling session, you might not want to use Zoom. If you're working a sensitive industry, you definitely don't want to use Zoom. And this is one of the things, Zoom is kind of learning on the fly. Microsoft Teams kind of has their stuff together. They've been around the block a few times, if you will. It's a great alternative to Zoom. Now Zoom is reporting, rather than just banning anybody who's going to talk about Tiananmen Square, which is what China is demanding, they're going to implement software changes to their technology that allow them to selectively ban certain content of Zoom conversations in certain countries. very much like what Google does when you do a Google search in China versus in America. So, yeah, it's not exactly being a warrior for freedom here, but it's better than, I guess, banning everybody, but it still shows the underlying concern in the way that our economies are interwoven between China and America, that we have all these server farms going up everywhere, yet they're so much more expensive than using a server farm in China that Zoom uses a server farm in China. So there's still a lot of anyone who thinks that decoupling is bad now. Decoupling is going to get way, way worse as time goes on, at the rate we're going, at the trend and the way things are moving forward. So, because that's the one thing in America that everybody agrees on, is that nobody likes China. Democrats say that, Republicans say that, anarchists don't like China either. So it's one of those things where everybody can agree that China bad. And as a result, companies are having to reevaluate. Even Alibaba, the Chinese version of Amazon. If you do a search there now, you can actually, they have a thing that says diversify your supply chain, and they encourage you to look for American suppliers. The American suppliers are selling the exact same thing that the Chinese suppliers are selling, except it's being sold from someplace in America. It's the same thing. 888-250-2091. All right, let's jump back into those phones real quick. Ron, welcome to the program. How can I help you on Compute This today?
Hi, Thor. I've got a problem that started here recently. Every time I turn on my computer, I get a little window that pops up that says invalid password. And then when I click the X to make it go away, everything works fine. It's not locking me out of the computer, but I'm just wondering what is happening that I'm getting an invalid password window popping up.
Gotcha. Now, Ron, do you happen to have a copy of Secure Updater installed on your computer?
Yes.
Okay. Double check that your Secure Updater is logged in and running. The first caller in the program said his was black, and that means you're not logged in. That login box you're probably seeing, especially if it has blue letters in it, is from Secure Updater, saying that your Secure Updater password is not working. So at some point we may have reset your password for you, or you may have reset your password. If your Secure Updater is not opening, there's a link in that. So to open this up, you go down by the clock and you right-click on that Secure Updater icon. It's going to look like a shield. It'll be black if you're not logged in. You right-click on that and you select Show Secure Updater. And if you do need to reset the password, there is a password reset link that you can use right there to reset that password. And then that should get that invalid password box to go away for you in the future.
Okay. I don't recall ever setting up a password for that. So
gotcha.
Was that like our email address originally?
Well, yeah, if we set it up for you, the default password that we're going to use is going to be your email address and your cell phone number. And the cell phone number would be the full number, so area code and all the numbers with no dashes or dots or anything like that. If that doesn't work, then it's your email address, and then just select the password reset link, and you can reset the password.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Alrighty, great.
Thank you, Ron. I appreciate you taking the time to give us a call today. Kathy, congratulations. You're the winner of the $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. Addie will get a hold of you on Monday to get that gift certificate out to you. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us. Stay tuned for a brief Aftershock coming up after the show here on Facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. And we'll see you next weekend for another edition of Compute This.
Fueled by Hy-Vee, home of hot deals and hundreds of price declines. This is News Radio 11.